It's cold. What's up to all my freelancers and creatives? This is Nathan, and I want to tell you about my epic trip. So I guess everything started when I was on Twitter, and I saw a tweet from a designer named Dan Petty. Dan Petty, very popular designer, very great designer, puts on events through a team called Epicurrence, Epicurrence, and they put on different events, and he had a tweet out there. Now, the tweet was very mysterious, and he was talking about an event. I wanted to know more about the event, and there was a lot of mystery around the event, which really made me want to learn more. So I actually went to the website, and I couldn't see it because there was a password protecting the site. So after I got access, I saw what the weekend was about, and pretty much it was an event called Epicunknown. It was a retreat, if you will, from some of the top designers around the world for a couple of days, about 3.5 days in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. Now, I'll be honest, I really didn't know what to think about this because here was an event saying that they were gonna go camping in the Smoky Mountains, but it really didn't have a lot of details. I was looking for a schedule. I wanted to know more about who was going to be there and a lot more other details I use in making a decision. But in this case, I didn't know anything. Even though I didn't know a lot about the event, there were a couple of things that I did know. One, that the event was about design and leadership in the design space. Another thing I knew was there were people there I knew were very prominent in the design world. So I wanted to at least be around these people. And ultimately, I made the decision to go, mainly because I wanted to form new relationships, but also secondarily, I knew that if I wanted things to change or see some type of progress in my professional design career, I had to try something different. So this was not only about trying something new, but it also was about getting out of my comfort zone, even though I didn't know all the details. So even though I didn't know everything, I made the decision to go, got on a plane, flew to Knoxville, Tennessee. Once in Knoxville, I had to rent a car to drive all the way to the Smoky Mountains. And it was an amazing thing because when I got there, you know, we had our own communication channel set up. I was able to connect with a few people who I just met that day. And I learned more about them, their professional career, their personalities, their families. And it was awesome just getting to know them. But they also, you know, gave me some knowledge about how it is to work in Silicon Valley and working for some prominent companies, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So for me, being based in Houston, Texas, it always seems like, you know, California is like the tech capital, or the West Coast is like the tech capital of where everything is happening. But it was good just to speak with these people and get an inside look at, you know, both sides of it, both the good and the bad, and what leadership looks like in those contexts. So after that, we got on the road and we actually drove through the Smoky Mountains and finally made it to the campsite. And honestly, I was blown away. It was not exactly roughing it out there, you know, in the middle of nowhere. You know, we had some amenities that were a little upgraded than what I thought it would be. So I was able to get my own tent, get settled in there. And then a lot of people that I saw there, besides at least 2 other people, I didn't know anybody. So this was really me talking to people, getting out my comfort zone, learning about them. And the days pretty much went like this. There'll be an activity during the day. You know, of course, then there's dinner. Then after dinner, we would all meet up and talk about different things, a free-flowing conversation. You can ask whatever you want about leadership and design, or any other question that was on your mind. Maybe you want to hear about certain things that the person wrestled with in their life, or maybe you want to hear about somebody's goals, how they handle the situation. You can ask whatever you want. So again, it was like an activity, you know, a meal, and then at the end of the night, we would come together and just talk. And then after that, it would be like a fireside chat, just talking about whatever you wanted to talk about and learning about other people more. Probably one of my most valuable times I had was at least hiking. We went on a hiking trail with some llamas. I know that sounds completely ridiculous, but it actually was a good thing. I had a chance to talk to a few people just about little deeper things that were going on in my life, both personally and professionally. And they were just listening, and I was giving them different business ideas I had, different ideas for side projects, and they were just giving me that feedback on maybe things I need to consider. They're giving me different perspective. I love the conversation I had with Rand. I got to talk with Rand talk to him about what's going on in his business, as well as what I had going on. and just learned a lot from him as well. And I also got to talk with a few other people while hiking. And the reason I enjoyed it is normally I don't do things like this. I don't do things like go hiking up a mountain with llamas nonetheless. I don't do things like that. But really, when you're hiking and you're walking with people, you have to talk. So not only that, but you have to talk outside of your comfort zone. So I felt that this event was really developing a core element that all leaders need to have, and that's the ability to learn about someone else and then think about how you can help or invest in that other person to allow them to accomplish their goals. A lot of times in the design space, if you want to lead a team, it is about reaching a certain goal. But in order to reach that goal, you have to get your team to know and think that you care. And the only way to get them thinking or knowing or accepting that you care is to learn about them, to listen to them. And once that even exchange has happened, then you have a strong team that can help move towards a goal because you care about one another. So ultimately, I had a really great time, and really just thinking about this, if I had to sum up the entire experience of what epicunknown is, it pretty much is a design leadership retreat that gets a lot of people in a room and you become close-knit with one another over the span of 3 days. So imagine a conference, but instead of there being keynote talks, and then you get to talk to the speaker afterwards and ask the speaker a couple of questions, but then they're in a rush, so they have to move on. Instead of that, someone gets to talk, and then you get to ask an unlimited amount of questions with no time limit and get to learn from that speaker and build a relationship with that speaker and become friends from that speaker. So if I bring up this weekend, this is something that we all know will stay in our minds, and it was a memorable experience. If I reach out to any of the people that I met, we have this solid connection. I've been to conferences where I've had time to sit and talk with speakers, and if I were to reach out to them now, I have to jog their memory. I have to say, hey, you remember the time I went to a conference, you were there, and I have to kind of jog their memory. But with the event like epicunknown, I can literally say, remember that time in the Smoky Mountains? And they know everything else. They'll remember because it was impactful to many people's lives, and for some people, it was life-changing. So anybody watching or listening, I would say this, that if you really want to grow as a professional, as a designer, you have to get out your comfort zone, but also sometimes you have to go somewhere outside of your comfort zone and build relationships. Business is about relationships. It doesn't matter if it's professional, personal, it's all about relationships. I've seen many times the only reason somebody collabs with somebody else, somebody reaches out to someone else, the only time work is sometimes referred to another person is because of a solid relationship. And we're all designers trying to move up the ladder, trying to get to a certain point, trying to reach certain goals. And we can do more together in building relationships and getting to know one another than we can apart. So if you want to continually grow as a professional and as a designer, build relationships and go places, though you may not be comfortable, to build those relationships. I can definitely say I had fun as well, from traveling and driving out there, seeing the countryside, just being in a relaxing environment, hanging out with other people, talking by the fire, learning about their lives. Like I said, hiking with the llamas up a mountain, also riding on ATVs and just driving through different mountain trails, just having fun with one another. It's not always about work. There needs to be some fun as well. And when you have fun with somebody, their real self, their real personality can easily come out, rather than a strict professional time with somebody. You don't always get to see their true self. So having fun and spending time with others is another way your true self can come out. But I can definitely say it was time well spent. Even going to an amusement park called Dollywood. Now, Dollywood, based on Dolly Parton. I never knew that thing existed. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't excited to even go, but I can definitely say even going to Dollywood was an exciting time. And the place is actually awesome. I was not expecting that. I'm a city guy. that was more country. That wasn't really my thing. But even going to Dollywood and riding the different rides and building deeper relationships with the people that I went to the retreat with, it really was an amazing time. So I would say epicunknown, definitely worth it. But for anybody else, you can have a similar experience. Just step into the unknown, and even though you don't have all the answers, put yourself out there. Good things can happen.